the word breast cancer and someone was diagnosed, we really treated it like one disease, and we didn't have very many treatments for it, and even the treatments that we had then weren't always successful. What we've learned now is that breast cancer is a family of diseases, and we have to treat each member of that family differently because there's different ways it grows and different ways treatment should happen for women. And so in terms of complementary and alternative medicine, there are a number of things that we're studying to look at, what types of prevention options could there be? Does something like flaxseed play a role? What about omega-3 fatty acids? What about other kinds of vitamins and supplements? So, yeah, we certainly do a lot of that research here at Komen, and we always have. And we hope to find more answers.
Anything positive? Any good news or any? And I guess part two to my question is: could a preventive be a reversal? Also, if somebody had like the very minute beginnings of a cancer and they started doing preventive things, would it actually reverse it?
Well, we know that in terms of early detection, that's a really key point that you make, is that the earliest we catch a cancer, the better off, chances are that we can treat that cancer effectively. Does that necessarily mean reversal? I don't know, but it does mean that we can stop it from progressing or that we can remove it altogether. And so that's really important. And the early stage diagnosis can mean that a woman who's diagnosed with breast cancer could have a 99% chance of survival. That's really incredible.
That's really good.
The fact, that 30 years ago that wasn't the case.
Wow.
Does the monetary status of a person affect their ability to get treatment for cancer or to purchase preventatives just because of their income?
Well, I think you touch on a very important issue, and that's that a breast cancer diagnosis is so complex, not only biologically, but socially in a number of ways. So the resources for cancer treatment are often not there for people, and that is a huge disparity that we see and something that we work for day in, day out. We have 115 plus affiliates in this country, and much of the work that they do through 2,000 different grantee partners is to provide treatment assistance so that if women don't have money to pay for screening or treatment, then we can help them with that. If it's anything as simple as groceries or rent or a wig or helping them get into a support group, those are the kinds of things that Komen does within communities that we think are vital for breast cancer patients and those going through treatment.
The website I was talking about earlier has a 5 instead of 3 W's. There's 2 W's and a 5. You might be the first organization I've ever seen that had that. And Robin checked it out, and it worked. Is that something? Well, two questions, and it probably have nothing to do with cancer. I'm more just curious. Is that something new? And is the name new? Susan G. Komen for the Cure. Didn't you guys have a different name?
Well, the website, I think, will work if you put Komen.org or www or whatever, or the 5. So either way, you should be able to get there, and that should work for you. And then in terms of our name, we've had a number of different sort of iterations of that. We began as the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation back in 1982, and then we had moved to Susan G. Komen for the Cure. But now we typically just go by what people know is best, and that's Susan G. Komen.
No, I have one medical question, and I hope it's applicable to what we're talking about. When we talk about immune deficiencies and the relationship between immune deficiencies and having cancer develop, I often have this question. I've never asked it actually before, but hopefully I'm not putting you on the spot. Does having cancer and then defeating it give you an edge? Do you have an immunity to cancer? Once you've had, I know people get cancer again, so maybe it's a stupid question, but the fact that immunities or immunity deficiencies are often cited as one of the causes for cancer, I've often wondered if cancer actually helps you build up an immunity to cancer.
So that's a great question, and that's actually a question that we asked our researchers 2 years ago, and we wanted them to do particular studies that were relating the immune system and breast cancer, because you're right, we know that there is something going on there. There is a linkage, and to the exact question that you're asking, one of the grants that we funded, it's called a Promise Grant, and a Promise Grant for us is one of our largest high-profile grants. It's around $5 million to $7 million over a few years, and it typically involves work that happens in the research lab, but then it also moves that to the clinic and helps create a clinical trial and interventions. And one of the Promise Grants in that year was to really look at how is the immune response of an initial breast cancer, just as you mentioned, how could that be turned into a vaccine to prevent a recurrence of
That would be
breast
awesome,
cancer?
yeah.
And so there was exactly what you're saying. There was some preliminary data, and this is a grant that Dr. Ellis has in St. Louis at WashU. There was some data that showed that there was something going on there. And so we, essentially were able to fund them to kind of take that tumor, take what they could learn from that tumor, put it back into the woman as a vaccine, and then see whether or not that would change recurrence rates in the future. There's also
go ahead.
I think there's also important work that we do on looking at how we can prevent breast cancer and what the future looks like in terms of understanding more about prevention. And right now we are really excited to partner with the Dr. Susan Love Research Foundation and the Young Survival Coalition. And we're doing a study called the Health on Women. It's called the HOW study. And this is the first kind of study that we've done that will track online women and men, and we'll ask them a series of questions so that we can better understand, did they have breast cancer, and then what were possible causes. And I think those two will also be very important questions that need to be answered.
Are all cancer doctors aware of Susan G. Komen, and are they also aware of all the clinical trials so they can submit some of their patients to be a part of those trials?
Yeah, most of the cancer doctors that work in the largest institutions are funded by Komen and have been funded by Komen. So over the years, we funded nearly $800 million in research, and that has covered certainly some of the best research that we've seen over the last 30 years. They were able to discover, different things about the components of the biology of breast cancer to the treatments of breast cancer, and then also some, exciting work like what about drugs that are out there for something else that could be used for breast cancer or that work in a different type of cancer and could be applicable in breast cancer. So I think that those important things are ongoing, and I encourage any researcher or any grantee who would like to apply to go to Komen.org and learn more about our programs that we fund.
There you go. I just went there. That's a great way to end the interview. I went to Komen.org, one of the pinkest sites I think I've ever seen. So go to Komen.org.
I wonder what the other ones
A lot of the resources are there. A lot of the thank you, Rob. We're making that. Anyway, the website gives you a lot of information, answers questions, gives you resources, and it just looks like a great resource. Chandani Porteous, thank you so much for taking some time out of your morning. I know this is one of many that you're doing this morning, so I think you're making a great impact on the community at large by doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Well, thank you for all you do. And don't forget, your race is this Sunday, October the 6th, and 75% of those funds stay right in your community, 25% go to fund the research. So we encourage you to sign up, and we thank you so much for all you've done.
Wow, thank you for knowing that. Wow, that was pretty cool.
That was great.
All right, thank you, Chandani. Pretty name, by the way, right? Thank you. Thank you. We'll take a little break, and we'll be right back.
Hey, I didn't know it rained last night.
Oh, it didn't. Why do you say that?
Because little Johnny's in the backyard playing in that big mud puddle.
Did you leave the hose on?
No, the neighbor borrowed it yesterday.
Wait, is that the side where the septic...
Johnny, get out of there!
Having septic problems? At Mike Scott Plumbing, we can make those septic worries disappear. We can pump your septic tank, repair your drain field, and, if needed, even install a whole new system. At Mike Scott Plumbing, we don't take crap from anyone. We take it from everyone. 237-2888. Mike Scott Plumbing. If water runs through it, we do it.
Universal Soil Solutions, steps to solving the sinkhole process. Step 1, be skeptical.
I had interviewed about 6 companies before I chose Universal Soil Solutions. Besides being skeptical and asking a ton of questions and educating myself, I popped in at the office.
Step 2, be a tough cookie.
So I've made them all know at the end of every day, I want my property clean. I want it raked, I want it level, I want it clean.
We are your sinkhole solution. Universal Soil Solutions, where integrity meets trust. Call 877-519-2777 for additional information.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
If you get a migraine, try to hug your family more often or your pets. The chemical oxytocin, which is released when we hug a loved one, it can cut the intensity of a migraine headache in half. Today, a lot of people think that flirting via text message is as bad as cheating in real life. Comedies may get us laughing and help us forget our pain for a few minutes, but sad songs and movies actually help us get over the pain much quicker.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Life jackets save lives. Wear it, Florida. A mix of clouds and sunshine today. Watch out for a shower with thunderstorm this afternoon. The high 84 to 88. Tonight, partly cloudy, though 64 inland, 73 on the coast. Tomorrow, partly sunny, high 84 to 88. For Thursday, clouds and sun with a shower with thunderstorm, high 84 to 88. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Here are today's headlines from the source, WOCA. The Florida Department of Environmental Protection's Division of Recreation and Parks is welcoming Florida's most iconic spring, Silver Springs, into its award-winning parks system today. In merging with Silver River State Park, the property will consist of 4,660 acres of uplands, wetlands, and submerged lands that surround the Silver Springs headwaters and river, as well as Ross Allen Island. A news release from the Department of Environmental Protection states that the Florida Park Service, volunteers, and others within the department have worked diligently over the past several months on improving the property in preparation for today. In addition to preserving the park, state and local funding is being used to improve the water quality in Silver Springs. The park will be open 7 days a week, 8 a.m. until sunset. Entry to the park will be $5 for single-occupant vehicle or $8 per vehicle up to 8 people. Individuals, bicyclists, extra passengers, and groups will pay $2 per person. Admission will be good for both the spring and river portions of the park. The announcement states that a concert schedule will be available soon and that Wild Waters Water Park is expected to reopen in the spring. The Star Banner is reporting that the Ocala City Council voted yesterday against giving city firefighters raises. The report also indicates that the City Council changed the rules for overtime and vacation and took away longevity pay. Professional Firefighters of Ocala IAFF Local 2135 issued a statement expressing the opinion that because of the decisions, the city is going to lose experienced firefighters to other agencies. The report also states that the council voted nearly unanimously with the city's administration on the few issues that have been sticking points in ratifying a new collective bargaining agreement. The council's decision will now go to the union membership, which will likely vote against ratification of the deal. If the union does not accept the council's final offer, it would return to the council, which could enact the provisions by a vote. The union asked for a salary adjustment for fiscal year 2012 through 2013, which ended yesterday, and a $1,000 base pay increase for 2014 and 2015. The council voted no. With texting while driving becoming illegal today in Florida, some lawmakers are already working to increase the ban on drivers using electronic devices while behind the wheel. As of midnight, texting while driving became a non-moving secondary